All right, New Orleans, welcome to the Jack Clegg Show. This is the Thursday morning edition. Welcome to all of the visitors to New Orleans. As I was coming downtown this morning, I saw that vacant lots, which were formerly vacant lots, are now turned into parking lots. $20 a day. And you don't have to worry about asphalt. It's all natural. All right. This is the Jack Clegg Show on WGSO, the best radio station in America. That's 99.5, right? 99.5, is that us? Oh, 990. We changed the number since yesterday, 990. 99.5 is somebody else. We don't listen to them. Okay. Or if you'd like to listen to the audio podcast, it's WGSO.com. Or if you want to watch the show now or later, or look at past shows, you can go to the internet and look at YouTube and type in Jack Clegg Show, and then you'll see our show. But more importantly, we are a radio talk show program, and we're a conservative program. The phone number to call is 504-556-9696. Now, why would you call today? Well, today we have a very, very interesting topic, and I think this is one of the most important topics for parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, people who are around young people, teachers, principals, others, because there's a really, really, really important lesson that we all have to know. And the topic we're going to talk about today is sports gambling. We're going to talk about sports gambling. But before we get to that, I want to set it up just perfectly, I hope, for you. And that is, we all love America. You can be critical of it. You can say it's got things wrong with it. And I'm not going to disagree with you. There are, from time to time, things wrong with it. But essentially, there's something really, really, really dangerous about America that I don't think we give enough attention to when we're talking about teaching young people that are growing up. We are the land of the free. We've been called the land of the free for a long, long time, and for good reason. In other countries, authoritarian countries, where people tell you what to do, when to do it, et cetera, they're not the land of the free. Okay, so we are the land of the free. Hurrah! Yay, yay, we're the land of the free. But that requires us to realize this really important point. You live in the land of the free to fail. You are free to succeed, but you're also free to fail. We don't have a department of anti-failure that will grab you and hold you and tell you what you need to do to avoid failure. You have to do it on your own. And speaking of sports gambling, we're going to start off with a very, very, very simple idea here. Okay. Gambling can be an addiction. We know that. I don't have to go through the science. Everybody knows it. Anybody who watches television, anybody who listens to the radio, hears television commercials from sports books, they call them. They call them sports books, I guess, because books are smart for smart people, right? No, this is sports gambling. It's all it is. And if you listen to that, they will tell you, if you have problems gambling, call this 1-800 number. I don't know what the number is. They're all different. Call those numbers and we'll help you. Now, why are they doing that? Well, because they know that gambling is addictive. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. It's addictive. And once you're addicted to something, you lose rational thought. You make mistakes. You make big mistakes. You put your addiction in front of your family. You put your addiction in front of yourself. The addiction takes over and you do bad things. Okay. Is drug use an addiction? Yes, it is. Same thing. Same thing. The first time you smoke crack, oh man, you feel great. Just like that first time you win a bet. Oh man, free money. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Some people don't get addicted, but others do. And I'm kind of surprised, and I did this research on sports gambling for today's show. And the one thing I couldn't find, I found lots of statements made about gambling being an addiction. Okay, fine. I also, and we're going to talk about it, found that since 2018, sports gambling has been regulated by states, not the federal government, states. We're going to go into that in a little bit to talk about the history of it. But I found nothing. In writing. And I looked to see whether any of the states had sponsored any studies to determine who in the mass of citizens they had might be somebody that was more likely than not to be addicted to gambling if they bet. Wouldn't that be nice to know? Wouldn't it be nice to know if there were a series of tests you could take and so forth, and you could determine whether you had that type of personality or whether it was genetic or whatever. Now, you might laugh about genetic, but as a former graduate of a rehab center, I will tell you that you learn in a rehab center that certain ethnic groups, certain others, when it comes to alcohol or certain drugs, there are people in those groups more likely to be addicted than others. And in those groups, more likely than other groups. But I don't know of any studies which identify you. Now, what is that? Does that cost money to do? Yes, it costs money to do. So why hasn't it been done? Why isn't it done? Because the people who make money off these things, off of you, the people who make money off of you addicts, like making money. They like making money a lot more than they like you not gambling or not drinking or not doing drugs, whatever it happens to be. That's why it was amazing watching Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s cross-examination by these Democrats who previously feigned a love for everyone. So the guy is trying to help people. And he knows what Big Pharma has done. He knows what Big Medicine has done. And he calls them out. I'm not saying he's infallible, but he calls them out and they attack him for doing that. And we don't have enough of it. Okay, now this may sound a little bit confusing, but we are going to talk about sports gambling. And in particular, the ability to gamble from your sofa using your cell phone and losing your house as a consequence. Not a good thing. Okay, we're going to be back in a moment. The call-in number is 504-556-9696. That's 504-556-9696, The Jack Clegg Show.
Hey folks, it's Jeff Cruier. I've been with WGSO for 17 years as host and now president and general manager. WGSO is a community-based radio station, a nonprofit, locally operated. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasizing local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, then we have some prime spots available for you. Take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
Hey, this is Drew Robinson. I've been an entrepreneur, coach, and dad for over 30 years. I'm not sure what that makes me other than someone with a unique perspective on life. On the Coach Rob Show, we'll look at life's challenges and have some fun, looking through the lens of faith, family, and football. News of the week, sports, movies, and my guests. I hope you'll join me on the Coach Rob Show, Saturdays at noon on WGSO 990 and streaming on demand at WGSO.com.
Hi, this is Susan Berniker bringing you a new show, Health Connections, every Wednesday afternoon at 5 p.m. when we explore health from doctors, researchers, scientists, naturopaths, pharmacists, authors, fitness, and more. You'll be able to call in and ask your own health questions. So join me, Susan Berniker, every Wednesday at 5 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM with Health Connections.
Hi, this is Rusty from the Olive Branch Cafe. We use only the freshest ingredients, and we prepare everything from scratch 7 days a week. West Bank born, West Bank raised, West Bank proud. The Olive Branch Cafe, Marrero in Algiers.
Hey, this is BJ Russ. Make sure you join me every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show right here on WGSO 990 AM. We'll be on from 7 to 8 p.m. We'll talk sports, music, movies, and pretty much anything in between. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM. That's the place to be. And don't forget that you can listen to us on WGSO.com and on the Mixler app.
Broadcasting from deep within the Louisiana Purchase, beneath spacious skies, overlooking the fruited plain, and smack dab in the land of the free. The American Ground Radio Program with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr, where freedom grows. Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Avalone and Stephen Parr here on WGSO 990 AM.
All right, New Orleans, welcome back. This is now the second segment of the Jack Clegg Show today on WGSO 990 AM, WGSO.com, and YouTube, the Jack Clegg Show. And we're talking today about sports betting. And it would apply to any kind of gambling, but sports betting. Okay, I'm going to start off with a little bit of history and how we've gotten to where we are. 2018 was an important day. The Supreme Court issued a ruling in the Murphy case. In the Murphy case, I won't go through great detail on it. I'm boring with the details, but essentially it said the federal government really didn't have a role in gambling unless Congress wants to make some law about gambling. That wasn't their job to do. And it was the job of the states to regulate gambling in each state. Okay, well, we all knew that. People my age and around my age all knew Nevada, they liked gambling, and they made a fortune. Well, let me say this. If you've ever driven through Nevada or in the past, it's a lot of desert. There isn't much there at all. And the money that was made in Vegas, it was one of the one things that didn't stay in Vegas, right? Remember, they tell you what you do in Vegas stays in Vegas. The money you make in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. The mafia and the business interests, the Teamsters Union, and all the others that invested in Vegas, that money left Vegas right away. But the point being, states beginning in 2018 began to, according to the Supreme Court, it was a state's job to regulate gambling. It was a big, huge moment in America, a huge moment, because prior to that, most states, occasionally you'd have a state that would pass a law having a casino, or all states had racetracks, and they had a racing commission. That's all by state control. Then this came up. This was sports gambling. This was gambling on baseball, America's pastime, baseball, basketball, football, not only professional football, but college football. Okay, we're going to get into a little bit of that, but just to pique everybody's interest, what we have now is a situation where we have this company called FanDuel. FanDuel is the largest of all what they call themselves sports books. It's a way to bet. That's all it is. And they have partnered. They have a partnership with the NFL. Really, they do. And FanDuel and the NFL submit to the watcher, to the audience, to the people who go to the games, the people who watch the games, the people who watch commercials for the games, and they tell them that betting is good. Here's the language they use. It enhances your enjoyment of the game. Betting enhances your enjoyment of the game. Wow. That's if anybody has ever known a gambling addict, I've known one. I had one in my family. It wasn't me. I wasn't a gambling addict. And my other addictions we won't talk about today. But we had someone, and she would always talk about the winnings. That oh God, I won this. Never, ever, ever did she even mention the losses. The losses she'd gamble 15 times in a month and she'd lose 14 times, but we all heard about that one time. Now, if you know gamblers, this is what they do. And that one time they won, oh, it was great. Or it was so close. Oh, man, I almost won all this money. If this one basketball player had made a free throw, or if this one football player had made the catch, oh, man, I'd have $500. But you never hear about the losing. Okay. So the history of sports gambling took a turn for the worst, in my opinion, in 2019. And we have state after state after state. 37 of them have legalized gambling in the state. Okay. Louisiana is one of them. And those who play in Louisiana, you pay your taxes on your winnings. And supposedly, you're reporting your winnings. But what's important about FanDuel and these sports books is they have a record of what you do. They have a record of what you do. And in fact, there have been many, many cases right now, the active cases that are involving athletes who have bet either on their team or another team or whomever. Most of them get caught because somebody is reviewing the FanDuel or whatever the sports particular book you're using. They will look at those and they will find patterns. And through those patterns, they've been able to find players. Now, what happens to those players? It's not illegal. So what happens? Well, if they're in college, the NCAA comes after them. We're going to talk about that in a minute. The NCAAs, they don't do it. The universities that they go to school at, those are the people who find out about it. Now, sometimes there's some exceptions, but most of the time they're leaving it to the universities to be the first line of defense. And players who come promise, I am not going to gamble. I am not going to do it. Well, we know that just is not true. It's just not true. The question is how much they get, how often they get caught, who gets caught, what schools get caught. But even when it's done, it's not breaking the law. The most that can happen, these kids get suspended. Coaches get suspended. Are coaches involved? Yes, they are. And are umpires and referees involved? Yes, they are. But none of these things are criminal anymore in those states. Now, you can commit fraud. And what happens, there's a very famous case of an athlete in college who was not 21. And in a particular state he played college basketball in, you had to be 21 to gamble and sports bet. Well, he wasn't. So he simply made a new identity for himself. And he went online as somebody he wasn't. And he was gambling. And in basketball, it's a lot easier than the others because basketball has what are called promo bets. And these are bets on individuals. Like you can bet on a player and how many points they will score, either over a number or under a number. And this particular athlete was cheating. He would feign an injury, and the under would be the place to bet because he wasn't scoring any points for his team or for himself. So, but the point of that is the only thing that happened was he got suspended. Now, there have been some players, the NBA has gotten 2, I believe, that have been suspended for life. And that is, these are guys that are really degenerate gamblers. They cannot stay away. But most of the athletes who do this, they'll be suspended for a few days, few games, some suspended for a year, but not enough so that the American psyche has any idea of what's going on in the particular locker room or what's going on off the field when somebody's uncle comes up to them and says, hey, look, in the third quarter of the game, if you're the special teams coach and you decide to kick an onside kick, it's going to be really worth it for you. We never find out about that. And now the betting is so enhanced. That's the term that the NFL uses. You can bet on whether the first play from scrimmage after the after the halftime is a run or a pass. That's not an accident. Somebody makes that decision. Okay, we've got to take another break. We come back with more and a couple of calls, hopefully, on the issue of sports gambling. 504-556-9696. We'll be back in a few moments.
New Orleans has a football party for the big game. 5 minutes from the Superdome. Get your tickets at NewOrleansFootballParty.com. Activities indoors and outdoors. Delicious New Orleans jazz brunch. Food all day. Premium open bar all day. Interactive experiences like cigar rolling, putting greens, pinball machines, and more. Join the football party February 9th. Watch the game and have a great time at the NewOrleansFootballParty.com. That's NewOrleansFootballParty.com. Sponsored by 1-800-REPAIRS.
Tired of placing multiple calls to multiple vendors and getting the runaround? Turn to one resource who can get it done. Sir Speedy. We provide a wide spectrum of print, signs, and marketing services, all backed by more than 5 decades of experience. So when you need that new brochure, direct marketing campaign, or signage to promote your brand, give us a call at 504-586-9812 or visit us online at SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com. Everything you need, one resource, Sir Speedy. Looking to customize or enhance your firearm? At NOLA Cerakote, we've got you covered. Our expert team offers everything from Cerakote coatings and custom engravings to repairs and modifications, giving your firearm a unique personal touch. With high-quality workmanship and unmatched customer service, we're here to bring your vision to life. Whether it's a one-of-a-kind finish or a custom build, you can count on NOLA Cerakote to deliver. Visit us at 1508 Edwards Avenue, Unit CC in Harahan. Visit our website at NOLACerakote.com or call us at 504-875-9933 to explore our services and start your customization journey today.
Hi, this is J.C. Smith. I'm not only the host of Stay Safe NOLA, but I'm also a security professional. If you're looking for answers for your security issues, please give me a call. I'll give you a complete and free security assessment covering all of your needs, including unarmed and armed security officers, mobile patrol services, remote guarding, access control, CCTVs, and the latest in security technologies. I also offer solutions for employee training to keep your employees safe during critical times in and out of the workplace. Call me now for your free
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Jeff Palermo. Security is tight in the French Quarter as more visitors have arrived for Super Bowl 59. Louisiana National Guard soldiers are patrolling Bourbon Street, and Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser says federal resources are also on the ground.
And then for the governor to bring the Homeland Security Director down, it gave national attention to how safe the quarter is now.
Barriers are also up to limit vehicle traffic, especially in the Bourbon Street area. The Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office is teaming up with the nonprofit group In Our Backyard to host anti-trafficking operations during Super Bowl week. Human traffickers often use major events like the Super Bowl to exploit vulnerable people, especially children.
Human trafficking is a grooming process where someone gains someone's trust because there's a natural vulnerability in all of us.
Cheryl Chicky, the executive director of In Our Backyard, says during Super Bowl week in Las Vegas last year, 16 missing children were found safe. LRN.
Are you ready to uncover the vibrant story of Louisiana? Dive into our state's patchwork history at the 9 Louisiana Department of State museums. Uncover the ghosts of our political past at the old state capitol, or explore Louisiana's pioneer story at the Germantown colony. Take a step back in time at the Louisiana State Exhibit Museum, or find Huey's hidden staircase at the old governor's mansion. Feel the heartbeat of our culture. Visit your nearest museum today. Find out more at sos.la.gov.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from,
we can be twinsies,
to,
how was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank N.A. member FDIC.
Join me, J.C. Smith, on Stay Safe NOLA, Mondays at 5 p.m. as I discuss crime and how to stay safe in the Crescent City. Stay Safe NOLA, only on WGSO 990 AM.
Hey guys, this is Lisa Leonardi, the host of the new show Live with Lisa Unscripted, every Monday at 4 p.m. drive time here on WGSO.
Don't get stuck in boring talk radio. Give it a much-needed splash of laughs and a little Southern Louisiana flavor with Implicit Bias Radio. I'm Kavan Bordelon. Join the crew and I each Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. as we give our thoughts on what's going down around the country. We'll crack open a fresh bottle of whiskey each week as we talk about what's swirling around in our heads and in the glasses. The Implicit Bias Radio Show, every Saturday morning, 7 to 9 a.m. on WGSO 990 AM.
Love to cook or just love food? Then Chew On This is your new go-to. Join me and Don Clement for mouth-watering recipes, kitchen hacks, and tasty food talk. Tune in at our new time, Saturdays at 2 p.m., and satisfy your cravings. Don't miss a bite, only on WGSO or online at WGSO.com.
Hey, fellow patriots, I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
We're the Jambalaya Boys from the Holy and Patriotic Jambalaya Show.
Join us Friday night on 5 to 6 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM and WGSO.com.
God, family, and country.
Join me, BJ Rust, every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show on WGSO 990 AM and streaming live on WGSO.com.
All right, New Orleans. Welcome back to the third segment of the Jack Clegg Show today, the Thursday morning edition before the Super Bowl. And perhaps this topic is not too popular at this time, but it's something that you really should think about. And you should think about it at all times, particularly if you're an adult and you're around children. When you say, "Hey, I just won $500 on this bet. I just won," and the kids are around and they see that, and they kind of like, "Oh, that's a good thing. Betting's a good thing." And then somebody listens to the NFL, which says that sports gambling enhances your enjoyment of the game. Really? Really? Amazing. How have we fallen so far? Okay, let's get back to the discussion of sports gambling. And as I said before, there was a huge Supreme Court decision in 2018 which made the states responsible for regulating gambling. Okay. So, in 2018, 2019, first year that you could measure it from the beginning of 2019 to the end of 2019, the amount of money that was wagered in sports gambling was $10.4 billion with a B. That was from 2019 to 2020. Now, in 2023, which is 3 years later, in 2020, or from 2019 to 2020, it was 10.4 billion. In 2023, this is the last year they have statistics for, $102.8 billion to enhance your enjoyment of the game. It wasn't all football, it was all sports, and that's all sports. But $102 billion. Okay. Now, as I said before, this law the decision, the Supreme Court Murphy decision in 2018 said states have to regulate sports gambling unless Congress takes that away from them, but it hasn't. So the states get to do it. In 2018, the first year the states did it, they raised, and this was probably about 15 or 16 states had it that first year, $79 million, almost $100 million. That's a lot of money in taxes. Well, last year it was $1.85 billion. So this is one of the issues that I have a problem with. And as a lawyer, you should always be aware of the following terms: conflict of interest. That is, you represent your client and your client alone. You may represent other clients that have a different position toward him. If you represent other clients that have a different position than your client wants you to take, you can't take the case. You have a conflict of interest. You need to battle 100% for your client and your client's interest, and you can't hesitate. You can't hesitate and think, well, this other bigger client of mine, he might not like the outcome if I make that argument. That's a conflict of interest. You can't do it. Okay, so in Louisiana and in other states, we are making money. We are taking money from sports gambling. We're taking money from it. So how are we enforcing the rules against cheating? Does the state of Louisiana investigate things that happen at LSU, things that happen at Tulane, things that happen at other colleges? Can anyone identify that arm of the Louisiana government, the state police or whomever, that is specifically dedicated to seeing if there's cheating going on, or if the gamblers are cheating, if they have relationships with the players? Who does that? The state. Wait a minute. The state's the one that also makes money from the gambling. I don't know how you justify that. I don't know how, with all the lawyers in Baton Rouge and making those decisions, how you can justify that. It's a it's a typical politician talking out of one side of the mouth, acting out of the other, and vice versa. Because what we've done is, and particularly among the college students, is we have said We're going to let the universities, the colleges, suspend the players and so because it's legal. You can do it, but we're going to let the colleges. These are the same universities, many of whom, not Louisiana, thankfully, but many of whom throughout the country allow men to compete against women. We just had an executive order signed yesterday saying you can't do that. Like we needed an executive order. Well, we did need one. We have people who really thought that was okay. As long as they self-identified as a woman, they are a woman. So the one of the big problems I have with sports betting is the states are making money from it. So how is it that they can possibly keep it from being corrupt? They don't want to identify. They don't want to say, oh, we broke a ring of 12 players. Remember the first law firm I practiced at right after law school. We happened to be involved in a horrible point shaving issue involving a university here in Louisiana. And players on the basketball team, let's say this basketball team was playing another team and the point spread on the game was 15 points. They got in bed with a bunch of gamblers. And the gamblers said, you should win the game for your school. We're not going to hurt the school, but make sure you only win by about 7 or 8 points, not the 15 points that the spread is. Didn't make any difference to the players. Well, it certainly did once the players started getting paid cash to do that. It was called point shaving. So this has been going on for a long time. It's still going on, but the states don't enforce it because they make revenue. They don't want to come out with a story that says, don't bet on sports because the players and the coaches and the umpires and the others are not prevented from cheating. Hardly. No one wants to talk about any of the cheating because to do so, you might stop some of the gambling. And if you stop the gambling, you lose the tax revenue. So on these points, we have a very, very huge conflict of interest, and we've never had a discussion about it. The moment 2018 came along and states were allowed to regulate gambling, Louisiana raised its hand. I'll do it. We'll do it. Just like the many, many other states that did. Now, one of the big fears that's coming up in doing my research is Texas and California have not agreed to this yet. Two of the states with huge populations and very, very sports-oriented populations. And they don't have gambling in those states. Once they do, the numbers that we were saying before, $180 billion in revenue, that's a drop in the bucket. So here we have, here in New Orleans, the NFL and its partner, FanDuel, are promoting an enhanced enjoyment of the Super Bowl. So it's not enough to watch the game. It's not enough to see these world-class athletes performing well. It's not enough to see singers who are in love with players on the teams and carrying on. It's not enough that you need to reach into your pocket, take some money, and put it in FanDuel. All right, we're going to get back in about 3 minutes with our last segment. This is the Jack Clegg Show. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Huck.
And this is Dave.
Please join us on Liberty or Lockdown on Thursdays at 5 p.m.
Be there.
Hey, Mimi, we love Wednesdays, but we're moving to a new time.
Listen to He Said, She Said, Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
As usual, we'll be discussing and debating the hot topics.
And taking your phone calls.
You can find out who's right. Of course, that's me.
No, wait, Jeff, I'm never wrong. Remember, happy wife, happy life.
So we'll have a lot to talk about on He Said, She Said.
Listen to the Crew of Crew Air Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
right here on WGSO.
Hey, New Orleans, the wait is over. That who wouldn't quit? Well, it's me, the King Dude, Mike Church, back on the radio airwaves that you know and love after 27 years of being away. I've only been back for a few weeks, but I've already spent more time in New Orleans than Mayor LaToya Barcelona. Or is that Mayor she's full of Bologna? Whatever. And remember that your mama was pro-life, darling, back when men were men and women didn't pretend to be men who run for Congress. Join me weekday mornings at 6. What have you got to lose that the Democrat Party hasn't already tried to steal from
Chef
you?
Jamie Gwen here. Tune in for delicious conversation and let me feed your soul every Sunday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here on WGSO 990 AM, the community voice of the Crescent City.
FBI, open up!
Just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible.
Tyranny in the USA.
We warned about this years ago.
I'm Tom Coates.
I'm Michelle Godin.
We're
Baldy
Baldy
and the
Blonde.
Blonde. Wednesdays at 4 on WGSO. Follow us on X at Baldy Blonde.
That's not America!
Hi, this is Rusty, owner of the Olive Branch Cafe. Join me on Tuesdays at 4 for the Best Bank Hour on WGSO 990.
Hey, this is BJ Russ. Make sure you join me every Saturday night for the Something to Say radio show right here on WGSO 990 AM. We'll be on from 7 to 8 p.m. We'll talk sports, music, movies, and pretty much anything in between. Saturday nights at 7 p.m. on WGSO 990 AM. That's the place to be. And don't forget that you can listen to us on WGSO.com and on the Mixler app.
Broadcasting from deep within the Louisiana Purchase, splitting spacious skies, overlooking the fruited plain, and smack dab in the land of the free. The American Ground Radio Program with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr, where freedom grows. Listen each weeknight from 7 to 9 p.m. with Louis R. Abalone and Stephen Parr here on WGSO 990 AM.
All right. We're going to get to our first and one of our best callers in a moment, but I want to get one more thing out that I want to get in research. Okay, just so you know, okay, the FanDuel, which is the largest of all of the sports book facilities, is owned by a company called Flutter. Now, Flutter is in Dublin, Ireland, and they have amassed a worldwide sports book thing. They're in India. They're in Australia rather. They're in Italy. They're all over the world, okay? Now, FanDuel was also a Scottish company. It was started by some Scotsmen. They had operations in the United States. FanDuel is a subsidiary of Flutter. Flutter owns actually about 82% of it. You know who owns the balance of the 18% that's left? Fox Corporation. That's Fox News, guys. How about that? Now, they don't own it yet, but they have won an arbitration about a year ago, and they won the ability to buy 18.6%. Fox at one time had started a Fox Bet, its own little Rupert Murdoch and his son had this own little betting thing, and that kind of failed away. However, in the maneuvers, they got it. So Fox Corporation could own 18% of FanDuel. Anyway, let's get to Alexander's brother, Andrew's brother. Whose brother are we talking to today?
Yeah. So it's amazing to me that most of the really big fortunes are made in things that basically bring you pleasure. Sometimes pleasure at the expense of happiness.
Sure.
I'm willing to bet most casinos, there you go.
And you're betting, yes.
The gambling again. don't allow their employees to bet in the casino. In other words,
Right.
don't get high on your own supply.
Right. They know better. But it's okay for you to come in from Topeka, Kansas, you and your wife, and lose all the money you brought in the first day you're there. That's okay.
Well, basically, it proves a theorem that I posited to you once, but you want to move on to something more exciting.
Okay.
Human beings, by nature, we are basically driven to avoid pain and seek pleasure.
Sure.
And
sure.
The reason why people get addicted to gambling is the reason why they get addicted to any particular behavior.
Sure.
Is because their parents failed in teaching them how to properly delay gratification.
I would say if you had 4 reasons, that would be among the top 4. Yes, I would agree. I'd agree. Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and place it at the top 1 simply because I'm the person making the statement. So.
That's okay. That's all right. Well, and a great example of that is in America, we are the most obese society around. Well, it's not because our parents told us to eat this and eat that, eat this, eat that. No, it's because the environment around us, the McDonald's, the Burger Kings, the other things, and the fact that your mom might have been a single parent mom and had to work and couldn't cook, and she had to stop at the fast food place and bring you fast food. So in addition,
or when you were an infant, she brought you formula, which is loaded full of high fructose corn syrup.
Right. Exactly, precisely. So it's not necessarily the parents and their decision, although that I agree with you. We have very, very low accountability for our parents on those decisions. But
well, we also have low accountability for the people who make our medicines, the people who make our food. Basically, we don't really have anything that resembles accountability because remember, we seek pain, we seek pleasure, and avoid pain. And we don't have enough sadists who want to inflict the kind of pain that needs to be inflicted to change behavior.
Well, let me ask you, and you should continue to develop that theory, but let me ask you what role, and I agree with you to a certain extent, but I think people have a tendency to be indifferent towards others. Not that they want to cause pain, but since it doesn't hurt them, they're indifferent toward it. And that, to me, that's the gambling issue. I think if you sat down with the board of directors of the NFL or the owners or whoever they were, and you said, this is a bad idea. You're getting people to become addicts to gambling. What do you do? Why would you do this? There's going to be somebody at that meeting who's going to say, well, it's a good thing. You're like, what do you mean it's a good thing? No, it's a good thing that we're involved because we can help regulate it so we can be taxed, and that tax money can be used to fight addiction. Now, I would look at that person and say, get out of the meeting. I don't want you here.
You are a crazy person.
You're insane. But they use that. The states use that as a justification for taxing. They're like, well, we got to help all these addicts. So we need the money. I mean, it's so when I say indifference, that's what I'm talking about, that you cannot possibly think that by gambling. Now, you can say this superficially, that because I've been around, you've been around. Sometimes when people have a small bet or wager, they enjoy it for the 5 minutes where the wager's going on and they win or they lose. Okay, fine, that's great. But when we're talking about the sums of money that can cause people to lose their mortgage, lose their jobs, they have to get money somewhere. They maybe break the law to get money to gamble more. And one other thing I didn't mention, but 2 of the authors who did really good work on this gambling issue, and there's a lot of smart people out there, said that the result of this FanDuel and the legalized sports gambling has made illegal bookmaking is driving off the charts right now. There's more illegal bookmaking now than there was before. Why? Because when people bet on FanDuel, there's a record of it. People want to gamble anonymously. So nothing really good is going on there.
Nope. Well, yeah. By the way, can you send me those links? You have my email now.
I can, particularly, and I should read this one. There's a really good article about taxation of this. A guy named Adam Hoffer. He wrote an article on tax design, and where is it? It's in front of me somewhere. I can't find it among my papers.
Well, you can do it later. But yeah, it's worth studying. But this is, again, it's a deeper study of human nature and the best type of government for it. The Chinese think that they have the best type of government for it, even though if you look at what's going on over there, I'd say maybe not.
Well,
we think we're supposed to think we have the best type of government for it, but
well,
we'll find out.
Here's what we need, and I'll go back to the very first thing I said today. We are the land of the free, which means you have the freedom to succeed, to exceed your parents, to exceed your grandparents, to exceed everyone you know. But you also have the freedom to fail. And people don't know enough about that. And that, as a good parent, I would recommend that you need to show your children they can potentially fail.
Yes.
All right.
They can bounce back.
And of course, it's a great country to bounce back in. It is. All right, buddy. Thanks for calling. And folks, enjoy the Super Bowl. My recommendation is don't enhance your enjoyment too much. You might not get your money back. Have a good weekend, and we'll be back Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. on the Jack Clegg Show.